Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie and today we are talking organization. Now up until now we've really been focusing on organizing the craft room itself, where to put your supplies, how to keep track of them, that kind of thing. And what I thought today we would talk about is how to be organized while you're actually crafting. And how do you keep track of all those bits and bobs and things that you pull out and while you're working so that you can easily find them. Now, I am not an expert at this by any stretch of the imagination. I am someone who has a 3x5 desk, and when I am working, pretty much every inch is covered because I got stuff everywhere. For me, being able to see and put my hands readily onto things inspires me and makes me more creative until all of a sudden it doesn't. So there does come a point where I'm like, I can't find anything, and I do have to tidy things up. So what I've done over the years is learned different strategies or ways for me to try and contain my various items but still have that freedom or that feeling of openness that still allows me to spread out, if that makes sense. I hope so. I think if you're someone like me, you'll totally understand what I'm talking about. And if you're one of those people who only ever has 3 pieces of anything on your desk at one time, you're probably going, she's a little bit whacked out. So I thought I would share with you some of the different things that I've come across and I've used. Some I like less so. And I'll also talk about some of the things I take when I craft on the go. And I've pared back on that quite a bit from when I used to go to crops on a regular basis, mainly because the last few times I've gone to a retreat, I've had to fly. Okay, so let's talk about these bins first, and then we'll move on to these and then some of the bigger items that I have behind me. So these here are actually all found in the bathroom section of Target. They are labeled as, this one here is L half bin no handle frosted, and this one says L bin lid frosted. So this is meant to be a lid for this particular box, and it does have a lip on it, so these will stack on top of each other and be secure. They also have medium bin lids that are actually exactly half the size this way. They do have some rectangular bins as well, and I do have one of the bins, not the lids, but I do have one of the bins floating around. I just don't know where it is at the moment. So I have a few of these. These are really inexpensive. The lids are like $1 or $2 a piece, depending on the size, I think, and the bins are $2 to $3. I first saw these introduced, the lids that is, by Retro Hit Mama Andrea Gray, and she uses them to store her ephemera pieces while she's working. And the beauty is that they stack. So you get, what, almost an inch of space you can stack. She labels them. I use them more on an ad hoc basis as opposed to a storage as well as use. But when I'm busy making various projects, I can put different things in different bins or different lids and have them out in front of me. I also have smaller ones for smaller collections. So let me pull out some ephemera to show you what I'm talking about. So let's say you have a die pack or ephemera pack that comes with a collection, and they always come in a little baggie, and you know how hard it is to find anything. Here you can spread them out, quickly see what you have to pull the piece that you want, and then when you're finished you can just put them back in the bag or whatever other storage system that you have. And then the smaller trays would work the same way. So that's why I bought the trays, or otherwise known as lids. Why did I buy this bin? Well, this bin here actually perfectly stores stamp sets in these Avriel pockets. So not only would these make a great storage solution if you just need permanent storage for your stamps, and you can fit on a bookshelf, this is also great if you're working on a project and you've pulled a whole lot of stamps. I've been on a quest to try and use more of my collection of stamps. I have a ton, but I often find that just the effort of going to pull them prevents me from using them because I'll just find something else. But if I start a project and I pull the stamps and have them at my fingertips, I'm much more likely to use them. And that's what makes this bin really great. It's also really great for mixed media products, just to contain them and keep them on your desk. Again, you've pulled a whole bunch of stuff for a project, stick them in the bin, have them readily accessible, and they're not floating around everywhere. These are very practical, they're very utilitarian, they're cute, but they're not cute. So if you're someone who likes something a little bit more decorative or a little bit more fun, then I've got another type of items that you may find useful. So these little bins here in the different colors I bought because they're super cute. And I just picked these up at Daiso, which is a Japanese dollar store that's around. I think they were $1.50 a jar or a bowl. So not quite as flat, but the idea is the same, right? So if I've got different ephemera pieces that I want to use, I can pop them in the bowls, quickly filter through it, and use them on my projects. I keep both because sometimes I like to use the cute bowls and sometimes I like to use the trays. Just depends what mood I'm in. As long as I've got the space to store these, then it's not a problem. If you're looking for something that is more space saving, the trays are probably a better route to go because you can fit a lot of these in a very compact environment. I also bought some smaller ones of these types of bowls and trays and stuff. They were less useful than these deeper ones. So while I normally think shallow is good, you do need to have at least a little bit of depth to contain, or stuff's still gonna float around everywhere. A couple other items that I've kept or that I have on hand have a little bit of sentimental value to them. This particular tray belonged to my grandmother, and when she went into an assisted living home and we were cleaning up her house, I decided to keep this tray. It was probably meant to serve like nuts and candies and stuff like that. I just thought it was a perfect bowl, good size, so that I could lay out my different ephemera pieces. I could have some sort of sorting and still see them. Plus, every time I use them, I thought of my grandmother. This particular bowl here, I think it was probably meant to be maybe a salad bowl. I'm not sure. I like that it's got the leaf shape in here and it's got some texture. I actually use this bowl quite often to hold my chamois. So when my chamois is wet, I just place it in there, and then I allow the chamois, of course, to dry out so it doesn't get all icky, and that's what this one works. But the same would apply for this as with this tray. You could easily add ephemera pieces in here. It's a good enough base and allows you to dig through pretty easy. The last one I have is this little tray. I think this is probably meant to be a candy tray. I picked it up at Goodwill. It's just pretty. Obviously it's been in the craft room for a while because it's collected some paint. I leave this one out on my desk all the time. Not necessarily even for crafting. I use it for catching all those little things that I don't know what to do with. So as an example, stuff that normally lives in there are my discs for my recording, some post-it notes, a cable, some poster putty, and a stopper from something. I can't remember what it's for. I think it might be from my scoreboard. You get the idea, right? So it stores miscellaneous things I come across that I know probably have a purpose somewhere and I just don't have a home. And because it's a little bit more decorative, I think it's kind of fun to have out on my desk. So definitely go and check the thrift stores. You'd find some really cute containers. They may not be grandma's trays, but they might be something that is just as cute. Let's talk big stuff. If you've ever been to IKEA, I'm sure you have seen this particular tray. It is, does it have a name on here? No, I don't see a name, but it's in the kitchen section, I believe. $2 or $3, right? Lots of real estate, lots of space. I've used this for December daily. Again, it's a larger project. I have different bins for different things. I've got some larger bins that I could fit you know, stamps in if I needed to. This was a pretty good tool, like I said, relatively inexpensive. That being said, it's time for these to leave my craft room. They will be going to another home because I found a few other things that I like a little bit better for the way that I work. Basically, I found the amount of real estate this took up was just too much for my liking. And like I said, I like to spread things out, and this left me less room to spread out in. But it's still a really great option, and it's inexpensive, so I don't think you can go wrong with this. Just know what kind of style or how you worked, and maybe this is a good choice for you. This one I've already got filled in, so you can see what I'm using it for. This is another one of those frosted kind of plastic trays. It is a tiered, it's got 3 tiers, but the tiers are all the same level, right? It just gives you more support in the back. I love this. I love tiered organization. It's really great if you've got different size of items so that you can easily see what you have. I'm also a flipper, which means I can flip through things really quickly. Now, that being said, this is not 12 by 12. It's the only downfall with this particular case. It just isn't 12 by 12. So I've decided that I'm going to use this for Christmas card supplies. And so I've got different things in here that I think I would use to make Christmas cards. And I will probably keep this year round, which is why I've dedicated this space for it. Because I probably make about 80 Christmas cards in a year, and every year I wait until the last minute. Okay, this year I'm doing a little better, but usually it's October and I haven't started. And so I'm hoping by having a little kit ready with some basic supplies in here that I'm encouraged to start making them year round. This is a great tray if you don't use 12 by 12 paper. For instance, if you scrap an 8.5 by 11, this would be fantastic. I've stored stamp sets in here. They fit quite well. Project Life cards fit in here. You can see I've got washi tape. I've also added mixed media, tubes of paints and stuff like that. It's a really great organizer. And this is found in the office section at Target. Another really great tool is this one here. This is from IKEA, and I can't remember how to pronounce the name of it. It's something like Fajala, something like that. I think it's F-J-A-L-L-A. I love this. And if you had seen my video where I put together a kit to make an album for my niece's Disney cruise, I used this particular kit to store all the items I pulled for that project. And it's big enough that it will fit 12 by 12 paper in the back, plus it's got the individual compartments. The only downside I wish it had was that it didn't have the 2 tiny ones, and that these would all be able to hold like 4 by 6 cards. That would make it pretty much perfect, but it doesn't. So it is what it is. I could probably go in and remove one of these if I wanted to, but for now I've made it work. I am keeping these for projects. So I also have another one of these that's filled with my, what I call my mega kit for my South America album, where I have collected a bunch of different things throughout my craft room that I want to have on hand to make that album. It's all readily available. It's compact. This just slides on a shelf. It does have handles, although to be honest, once I have this all full, it's hard to access that handle. I usually end up just picking it up on the side. So I do have 2 of these, like I said. One's in use and the other is whenever I have another project. So it's kind of like a spare. These do fit in the IKEA Kallax cubes with a little bit of room to spare. Now this particular bin falls in the permanent storage / storage while you're crafting, and it leads off of the one I just finished talking about as a project bin. So I often use these to store all the paraphernalia for a specific project. And what makes it work, this is an iris case by the way, I didn't mention that, is what makes it work is that there is an insert in here that has these individual dividers that allow you to customize this tray so you can put all your little bits and bobs and then attach or place this in top and have all your papers, long stickers, etc. at the bottom. When you're ready to work on your project, the bin comes out, you can take this tray out, stick it on your desk, and then you've got your papers readily available. It works okay. It's not my favorite any longer. At one time this was the best that I could find, but now that I found that IKEA one, that works much better in my opinion. The problem with this is once it's together, you can't really pick it up like this, or everything that's in here and organized is going to fall out and you're going to have a mess. The other thing is that I've had some hit and misses with the iris bins where they don't seal as well as I would like them to. This one seals really well. This one here, again, if this was a long-term project, so maybe not something I want to work on right away, but I'm accumulating supplies to make it work, I may use something like this for that. But at this point, I would not be buying any more of these inserts. I don't even know if you can still get them, but I would not be buying them. Instead, I would opt for the IKEA one, if possible. But that being said, this takes up way less space. These stack. The other one, it's pretty much, it is what it is. So depending on your circumstances, that may hold a bigger sway. I've tried to give you some relatively inexpensive options, as well as perhaps some that are a little bit more pricey, although to be honest, I think the priciest item is the IKEA one, and we all know IKEA doesn't run very expensive, unless maybe that Target shelf might be a little bit, or the Target bin. But I want to encourage you to think outside of the box. Here's an example. This here was a tea caddy, or a tea advent calendar, if you want to call it. It's 24 days of tea. It was from David's Tea. I bought it for myself because I thought it would be fun last Christmas. Well, when you open it up, it has all these little boxes that allowed for tea to be put in there. I kept the boxes so that you could see what this is like. But what would be really cool is if you took all the boxes out, you now have a divided container. This is super sturdy. It's fantastic quality. You can take your die pieces and sort them, you know, maybe you have tabs in one and you have journaling boxes in another, and some icons, maybe you have some banners. You get the idea, right? Allows you to really easily sort. You end up with 24, I believe it was, yeah, 24 different slots to store. I think this is a fantastic idea. If you don't want the folding capability, because obviously if you fold it, you're going to lose your organization. So this is more in the moment kind of thing. You could easily just trim this off, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing on either side. And then I would end up with a tray of 12 and 2 trays of 6 that I think I could just place on top of each other. And I think this would make a really great box for working with while you're crafting. These little individual slots hold 3x4 Project Life cards. You could stick them in a container. You could probably glue them together and make a container that would hold your 3x4 cards if you were so inclined. Or you could also, if you were, stick your ephemera pieces, if they're small enough, inside the box for storage. If you wanted to keep this all together, when you're ready to work, just dump it out. You know, it's something to think about. This didn't cost me anything because I was going to buy it anyways for the tea. And like I said, I think this is a fantastic option to use while you're crafting. Okay, let me put this away and we'll talk about travel organization. So when you travel, you obviously want things to be as compact as possible, but yet when you're at the retreat that you're at, you want it to be functional so that you can easily access your supplies. Now, if you have the luxury of taking a vehicle, obviously you can pack crates and bags and boxes to your heart's content, as long as it fits in your car. But when you're flying, it's a little bit trickier. You're probably going to pack most of your stuff into a suitcase, and you're going to want it to be as compact as possible. One of the things that I bring with me is this 12 by 12 holder. It is plastic, comes with a plastic holder at the bottom, or a plastic sheet at the bottom that gives it some stability. It will stand up on a desk, and this is where I store my 12 by 12 paper. It's not necessarily how I transport it, but once I'm sitting at my retreat location, I will pull this out, put my 12 by 12 paper in here. Again, I can flip through it really quickly and easily, and from a travel perspective, it collapses into a very compact unit. So usually what I'll do is I'll take my 12 by 12 paper, throw it in a Ziploc bag, and then just lay that on top. With this, I get to the retreat, pull it out, pop it in, and we're good to go. Other tools, this is a new to me tool, or new to me bag. I got this in a surprise mystery box. It's from My Petunia. For those of you that don't know, My Petunia is the manufacturer of the Misty, which is a stamp press. And I believe this bag was designed to hold the stamp press in it, and it came with some different pockets to store stamps and inks and all sorts of good stuff. This is actually a really great container, or a really great bag, because it has pockets and zippers and all that good stuff. So this is something that is worthwhile looking into. Now, would I go out of my way to purchase this on my own? Probably not, because to me this looks like a cosmetic bag. So if you can find this on sale, that's fantastic, and by all means, you know, it looks like it's a great little bag. But it does look like a cosmetic bag. And why do I bring that up? Because I have purposely bought cosmetic bags for travel. So let's start with the small one here. This one here, when you open it up, it has pockets. It's got a zipper pocket and another pocket here. I use this for stickers, for pins, markers, that kind of thing. There's a glue stick, a little ink pad, anything that I might need. To me, this is really great for a really small day trip. Not necessarily what I would take for like a 4-day retreat, but it's compact and it will easily fit in a bag. So this is one option. This is my main travel kit. It looks like one of those little, what do they call them? I can't remember the name now. But I love this. And it's basically just a square rectangle, and in here I keep all of this stuff in here all the time. Yes, I'm very fortunate. I have doubles of a lot of things. I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for a number of years and taught a lot of classes, and so I had a lot of duplicates, so why not just throw them in here on a permanent basis so I don't have to think about things. It's a bit hodgepodgey in that there's a little bit of everything in here, but again, it's not overwhelming. I can quickly flip through this, see what I have. It holds a ton, and it just works. In here I've got, you know, watercolor paper, I've got dimensionals, I've got glue dots, things that you always need but don't always remember to take with you. And the last one, the last cosmetic bag that I have is one of these fold-out ones. And this one here is where I store a lot of my mixed media, ink pads, embellishment stickers, all of that kind of stuff. If it fits in here, I will make it work. And I have managed to take both this one and the last one with all the stuff that I needed. I didn't need to take anything else with me for a 4-day retreat. Do you need one of these? No. Is it nice to have one of these? Yes. This particular model I won at a retreat, and it comes with this little thing at the bottom. It's a weighted rotating wheel, kind of like a Lazy Susan, that you tuck in to the bottom there. And this stands up and rotates. And this is where I can store all those tools that are in that other bag. So I use the other bag for transporting, and then the stuff that I'm going to use constantly, like my, ruler and glue pen and all that kind of stuff, I will throw in here. And this acts like a tool caddy. Also within here, I have a few little goodies that I take with me as well. And let me show you what those are. One is a travel platform. This is the Tim Holtz version of it. It's a little bit smaller than the regular Misty, not by a lot, but it is a little bit smaller. And because of that, it just makes sense for that to be the one I take with me when I travel. And I also have these. And you're probably wondering, what the heck are these? To me, these are one of the most useful things that I have taken with me when I traveled. The first time I went, when I flew for the first time, I didn't have these with me, and it bothered me to no end that I didn't have any containers to store the stuff I was working at, which is the whole point of this video, right? How do you stay organized while you're crafting? Well, what these are dice trays. And again, I bought these on Amazon. They were really relatively inexpensive. You don't have to use these just for travel. You could use them for every day. I just happen to keep them in with my travel supplies because I have other options available. All they do is they snap together in the corners, and they now become a tray that all those little ephemera pieces we talked about earlier can now play in here while I'm crafting on the go. Because these are so compact and so inexpensive, I can take 6 of them with me, and it really takes up so much space, so little space, that I don't worry about it. I mean, really, literally, this is how much space it takes up. And to me, it's absolutely worth having this so that I can throw the different things that I want in here, like my ephemera pieces. I use them for storing, just to keep track of things like my mixed media, or my eraser and my pencil, and all of that stuff just ends up in one of these trays, because a lot of times when you're at a retreat, you don't get a ton of space. And so it's really nice if you can have these allotted spots that try to keep things contained for you. So I will just have them out all in a row in front of me, and I can literally just grab and go. So those are my big travel items that I take with me to help me be organized while I'm crafting on the go. I do have a couple of honorable mentions that I want to bring up before I let you go. One of them is a Lazy Susan. This I picked up at IKEA for probably about $7. I have used this to store tools and all that kind of stuff on my desk, just for ready access, especially when I'm using containers and stuff, so that if I have the containers spread out, they are in a contained spot. I can move it around, pull what I need, and go from there. So something to think about. Not necessary, but it may be a nice to have, especially if you're working on a larger desk. Just a different configuration. Another honorable mention that I want to bring up is this little tool. Now, I don't remember the name of this. I don't even know if they still sell it. The point is to find a container that works for you for all your must-have tools, which this one is. I can add that on here. Again, it's contained, so that when I'm spreading out all my paper and my stickers and my mixed media, I've got lots of room for that, and my tools and supplies that can easily get lost are in one spot. Now, that being said, I lose my scissors all the time because you think they should be put back in here, and they don't. But it's better than losing everything. The other thing I want to mention is on my desk, I have 2 table tidies, one on either side of me. I will insert a picture of what a table tidy looks like here. This keeps all my must-have glues and tools and inks really literally right by my side. My right hand side has the glues and basic tools and water and ink, and on the left hand side I have like the stapler, a hole punch, my MISTI, and other than that it's mostly empty. Why? Because again, I want to keep my desk as clean as possible because I am such a messy scrapbooker, and so that ends up being my dumping ground. So when I'm finished with a punch, I throw it in there. When I'm finished with a stamp set, I throw it in there. And when that bin gets full, I then take it out and put it away. So that's all I have to share with you today. I hope that you found this interesting and maybe causes you to think a little bit more about how you can be more organized while you're crafting. And it should be something that works for you, not necessarily the picture perfect kind of way of doing it. How does your brain work? What's your process? What's your flow? And how can you tweak it to make it work for you just a little bit better so that you spend less time looking for things and more time having fun making things, right? I'd love to hear if you have any tips or tricks or special organizational items that work for you while you're crafting. Please share in the comments below so that we can all learn. And until next time, happy crafting and happy organizing.